This is the War Room with PMAC, presented by Chiefs Focus. On this show, PMAC and you provide you front office insight into crafting a championship caliber team for the Chiefs. They are identifying the right pieces to possibly meld together to lead to success this upcoming season.
What it do? This is the War Room with PMAC, where myself and PMAC are looking at ways that the Chiefs can improve from a GM slash front office perspective. And we are giving suggestions on what the Chiefs should do moving forward as we try to continue this historic run to possibly get ourselves be the very first team to ever three-peat in the National Football League's history.
Yes,
That's what
sir.
we're doing here. And so we are grateful that you're listening, watching, whatever you happen to be doing. Introductions.
Yes, sir.
That brother is PMAC. How you doing, man?
Thank you, man. Thank you, Thiz. And I want to say thank you guys for hopping on here today. Welcome back to another special edition of the War Room with PMAC, presented by Chiefs Focus. I'm your host, Philip PMAC Magruder. And on the other side of that screen, and I'm glad to be joined by my co-host, my producer, and my dear homeboy, Thiz, man. Thank you for being on here with me because it's a special edition because tomorrow is the 2024 NFL Draft, and we will finally find out which teams our favorite prospects will be joining. We'll be excited to see how the Chiefs draft strategy comes together on both offense and defense. We'll analyze hundreds of prospects and help fans understand their strengths and their weaknesses and fit into how they will fit into their new team. Tomorrow night marks the end of the draft process, which can be both exciting and frustrating. We have an exciting show for you today as Thiz and I will jump into our first segment. So let's get into it, man.
So here's how the show is going to go. We're going to have our first segment, which is the news. We'll have our second segment, which is the tight ends that the Chiefs should be considering aside from Brock Bowers. Okay.
Mhm.
And then thirdly and finally, our last PMAC's last mock draft, the final mock draft of the draft season. Now we'll probably start having them all year long eventually because draft season really never stops. I mean, if we're going to be honest about it, draft season never really stops, but we're going to take a break at some point. We ain't going to start that back up until at least the college football season starts up. So, yeah. So the first one is the news. The second one is the tight end considerations, 5 tight end considerations aside from Brock Bowers. And then our final mock draft for this season. Now, let's get into it.
All right.
The first is
that's news to me. That's news to me.
That's news to me.
The news.
All right. That is news to me. So as part of our first segment, before we get into the idea of Brock Bowers being the potential successor to Kelsey, there was some big news out of Chiefs Kingdom this weekend before anything else. The Chiefs have extended the contracts of President Mark Donovan, General Manager Brett Veach, and Head Coach Andy Reid for the long-term future. Andy Reid and Brett Veach have signed new deals that will last until 2029. Big Red is expected to become the highest-paid head coach in the NFL. Mark, Brett, and Andy have achieved historical success together, and we are thrilled that they will continue their roles for many years to come. Chief CEO and Chairman Clark Hunt said in a press release after the news broke. Individually, Mark, Brett, and Andy each represent the best in the National Football League at their respective positions, and together they make up one of the finest leadership teams in all of professional sports. They have been tremendous leaders for this organization on and off the field, and we look forward to their continued success in the years ahead. Since 2017, The team being overseen by Donovan Veach and Big Red have claimed 7 consecutive AFC West division titles, 4 AFC championships, 3 Super Bowl championships. The Chiefs have been in 6 consecutive AFC championships, including hosting an NFL record 5 straight at home from 2018 to 2020. So we got the big 3 in the next 6 years.
We do. And here's the thing about all 3 of them. I expect all 3 of them to go into the Hall of Fame. Big Red will be in there as soon as he's eligible. Brett Veach probably the same. Mark Donovan, it'll take a long time because contributors take a little bit longer than players and coaches. But I do expect this brain trust to be in the Hall of Fame as soon as they decide to hang it up. Well, as soon as they're eligible. And dude, I just look at where this place could have been, and they give Brett Veach a lot of credit for going to look at Mahomes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying he's the reason, but because they could have went a different direction, they could have ignored him altogether, right? But they played it perfectly. Yeah. Him, Andy, and shout out to the GM at the time,
John Dorsey.
Just shout out to him, Brett Veach, and John Dorsey and Andy Reid for keeping for the misdirection that they did, because they went and visited Mahomes during the pro day, and as soon as they saw enough what they saw, they got out of there before anybody saw him. And
you got to thank Brett knocking on that door to try to get it to John Dorsey. Open this dang door! You're missing out on one of the greatest of all time. Like, you never opened that door, we wouldn't have Mahomes. We wouldn't have those 3 Super Bowls.
And John Dorsey can be very stubborn. He could be a stubborn dude. So, that's what he does. Yes. He could be a very stubborn dude. So I'm glad that they were able to. And let me say it with this too. Based upon the decisions that was made in that draft, this Chiefs team could have been a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
It had we, decided to draft certain other players based on the news that has come out about them over the past 3 years. This team could have been completely different had we done that, had we waited one more pick less. You know what I mean? So shout out to Andy. In an alternate world, that probably would have happened. I'm into Marvel, and they got the alternate universe endings, and in some alternate universe, the Chiefs drafted the quarterback for the Browns now, whose name is escaping me, but in some alternate, no, the other one in the same draft class as Mahomes.
Oh, Watson, yeah,
Watson, yes. In some alternate universe, he got drafted to the Chiefs. I don't know if that alternate universe
or the Saints.
And I don't know if that alternate universe has the Chiefs as 3-time or 4-time Super Bowl champions at this point, but I know in some alternate universe, he's our quarterback. So look, man, shout out to the Brain Trust and the Chiefs Brain Trust getting these contracts done, putting it all together to win championships. I never thought we'd be at this point in Chiefs history. I was just happy with the one in 2019. Never thought we'd get more than that. Even with Mahomes, I never thought that. So, hey, let's try to get the one. You know what I mean? Because it as easy as they've made it look, it's not that easy. It's very difficult to get the championship. So,
yeah.
As we move on, unless you have anything else, we can move on.
Nah, that's my part on that part of the news. There's another part of the news that I wanted to mention, and it was in reference to Brock Bowers. So, as you guys know from the last episode of the War Room, I selected the Chiefs to move up to get Brock Bowers, who is the number one tight end in this draft class from Georgia, with the 9th overall pick in our 7th round mock, but it involved the trade with the Bears. But then during the episode, those actual rumors might actually become a reality because there was a report by NFL.com that the Chiefs might consider such a move. So one of the writers had the Chiefs trading numbers 32, number 64, the 2nd round pick, and the 131 pick, the 4th round, and next year's 1st round pick or the 9th overall pick. This would give them Bowers, which could help Mahomes and act as protection against Rashee Rice's alleged involvement in that high-speed crash in Dallas. Because according to Adam Schefter, Rice is likely to receive a multiple game suspension from the NFL due to his ongoing case in Dallas. And this suspension could be as short as 2 games or as long as an entire season. The news has generated mixed reactions from fans and analysts, some advocating for a harsher punishment, while others expressed disappointment. But the Chiefs have not really released a statement, but they brought up the idea of Brock Bowers coming to the Chiefs. So I want to know what you think about that.
You really want to know what I think about that? That's a lot for the 9th pick, and that's a lot for and I understand Brock is cut from a different cloth. I get it. Dude is freaking amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
But based on the things I've seen, tight ends take about a year to get acclimated to the NFL. They take, on average, about a year and a half to get acclimated, or 2 to get acclimated to the speed of the game in the NFL. And not only that, most teams do not really engage their tight ends in the manner that would make them speed up their development. The Chiefs, different story. We use them. Okay, we do use our tight ends, so that part I'm not worried about. And it is that's a lot of draft capital, bro. It's a lot of draft capital.
I wouldn't do all that, especially if I'm going to give Rome Odunze or something like that. I wouldn't do that either. But maybe
me neither.
Maybe if it's Joe Altman, maybe. But other than that, I wouldn't do all that for Bowers, man. Because there's even rumors that Bowers will drop out of the top 10.
Now, if that happens, okay. That way you wouldn't have to give up so much of this year's draft capital. Exactly. You know, if you drop to 11, that takes the draft capital down a lot less. But man, you get what you said: 1st round, 2nd round. You said 1st round pick, 32, 64, and 131.
And next year's 1st. I'm like, that's a lot.
That is, we wouldn't even be on the clock until day 3.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And this is one of the deeper wide receiver draft classes. Like, I just can't fathom that. I can't fathom that. And based on the way they do contracts, I don't see the Chiefs doing it either. The way they do contracts and the way they spread out the money, the smart way that they're spreading out the money, tells me that they wouldn't do it either. I'm sorry, that takes you out of the spot for Jalen McMillan. That takes you out of the spot for Xavier Leggett. That takes you out of the running for Luke McCaffrey. Even like that takes you out of the running for, if you wanted to try to go get Brian Thomas Jr. That takes you out of the running for any of those guys. And then that
get a chance at a left tackle.
Protect the king.
Protect the king. That's what the name of the game is here going to this draft. So
that's just what I'm saying. I'd be shocked if that happened.
Yeah. And my thing is it's better bet if he was like moving in between 11 or 20, especially in the 20 range, then now we're talking. I mean, he has the potential to be an incredible player, could eventually take over for Kelce, and they could be already in year one of the best tight end duos in the league since Gronkowski and Hernandez. But if the Chiefs make this move, it will be their boldest move since trading up for Mahomes in 2017. And according to last year, when we didn't get the chance to get Dalton Kincaid, I heard from the inside that Bowers was Veach's top target, which I've heard right after last year's draft when I worked over there last year, and he would be a valuable addition to an already intimidating offense. But I just feel like there's more pressing needs, though, man. So that's just
It's more pressing needs based on a team building standpoint. And I can understand if they wanted to go ahead and put a lot into this year, but that makes more work for you on the back end. That's the issue I have. If you put all into being the first team to go, for a three-peat, which I understand, that is rarefied air. But you got to think about it you don't want to just win 4 of these things or 3 of these things in a row. You want to have continued success. And not saying this move wouldn't be that, but I'm saying that I'm not putting everything into the three-peat. I'm trying to make sure we have continued success further than this and continued success with the guys that we got here with, which includes Kelce, because I'd like to get him his next ring, 2 rings before he retires if we can. And if you skip this year, that makes him not have as many rings as he's looking for. You know what I mean? So that's all. That's all. I love the idea of getting him, Brock Bowers, but it's just that's a lot to do it. And you need a left tackle. I know we can call Donovan Smith back. I get it.
And we can go after Jamal Foster, but still left tackle. And that's also part of the next part of this segment that I was going to move into, because that speaks to So speaking of that, before we get to that tight end segment, the last part of that's news to me I wanted to talk about was my takeaways from Brett Veach's pre-draft presser. So as you guys saw last Friday, General Manager Brett Veach held his 7th press conference ahead of the draft in a Zoom call with local media, offering some insight into what the team might do on draft night and over the weekend. Some of the headline takeaways here don't require much between between the lines, unlike in most cases, which some people can read in between the lines, where some of us try to do, even though some of those instances might be expected, such as the primary requirements. Veach provided some nuances to those discussions. So I got 3 takeaways from what I saw that Brett Veach talked about last Friday. So one takeaway was, according to Veach, there are 2 significant needs, which is simple, like we just talked about: wide receiver and left tackle. During his interview, Veach revealed some information about their board. He mentioned that there is a large group of receivers in the first 50 picks that they have high grades on. This means that the Chiefs might find themselves in a tricky situation during the first and second rounds of the draft. And it has been observed that most of the offensive tackle players are picked before the 35th or the 40th pick. Hence, if a team selects within the top 10 or 15 picks, acquiring a good offensive tackle, it will be a great opportunity. However, if the team selects number 32 or 64, then there might be a chance, but the probability is quite low. It is noteworthy that the Chiefs have just 1 pick within the top 50, so they might have one chance to do it if they want to grab a suitable left tackle player. And what is the team's comfort level with Wanya Morris? And he referenced Morris, saying that he likes Morris, saying we are happy with his development last year. He showed some promising signs early on in OTAs. He continued to grow during training camp and got an opportunity late on in the season. He made those 4 starts at left tackle when Donovan Smith went down. He needs to come in and win the competition for the left tackle position. So in other words, he just give you those clues there. We want to bring in competition for him to earn that spot. So the plan here is straightforward here. The Chiefs will either choose to stay at 32 or move up in the draft to select a future blindside protector for Mahomes. And I know Veach might target Notre Dame's Joe Alt. There's other potential options like Penn State's Olo Fashanu. There's Armarius Mims from Georgia, and there's Kingsley Suamiata. If Alt, Fashanu, or Mims drops, the Chiefs might move up or stay put at 32 to select Suamiata. And he acknowledged that this year's draft class of receivers is very deep, saying we have a large grade on 50 on like the first 50 picks. And then he said there's another pocket behind that, referencing beyond like the 3rd round and beyond. And he said that's a positive for us, saying that this so deep that we could look at whoever. So, one of those guys you could look at number 32, for example, Xavier Leggett, who just mentioned that he was a top 30 visit with the Chiefs and also met them at the Combine. And he talked about how he would love to play with Mahomes. There's also Tez Walker from North Carolina who also visited over the weekend. And there's also other options at 32 if the Chiefs want to go at receiver like Georgia's Lad McConkey. There's Florida State's Keon Coleman, or the Texas guys, A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Worthy. So what's your thoughts about that one?
I do think there will be a big run on wide receivers. I believe that. I'm thinking Worthy might get drafted before he drops to us. His stock has been rising continually as the draft process continues. So the last thing people want to do is have guys like that drop to us. And the kid from Oregon, the wide receiver from Oregon.
Or Oregon, Troy Franklin. Oh, yeah.
Troy Franklin. I think those A.D. Mitchell and Troy Franklin are two dudes that a lot of people probably really don't want to see the Chiefs get. So they're going to try to move up to get them. And I know those are late. Those have been late first rounders. So I'm interested to see how that'll work out. And who the Chiefs really want, because if Brett wants to get aggressive with our coming off of our second Super Bowl, I think they might give him the go ahead to do it, man. If he feels the need that he needs to go aggressive, because I don't feel as though he's been super aggressive in his tenure as a Chiefs GM, right? And so I think after the second one, they will give him the go ahead to be pretty aggressive, bulldogish even, to go get whoever he wants. I mean, I think he kind of deserved it. And I think he's not going to go off the beaten path. He might pay more than what they're typically worth, but sometimes you need to let the intrusive thoughts win. if you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they got this thing on TikTok where this ladies talk about say the weird thing. People are desperately seeking realness. Hey, sometimes you just got to take a random road trip for your own sanity. Sometimes you just got to do the things that don't seem normal. You know what I mean? And that would be one of those things. So I wouldn't hate it. Whatever decision they make, I just don't want it to be one of those decisions like John Dorsey did with D Ford. I was
thinking about that the other day. I hated that pick so much, man. I felt like, oh my gosh. I was like, Dorsey. And I remember seeing Andy Reid get into it with Dorsey for making that pick, because it was like, yeah, man, like
really.
I think I remember seeing that. Like, you never seen that video of the war room where they both get into it.
I was so puzzled by the pick that I didn't even look at what they were doing. I'm like, D Ford, you could have got him in the second round. What are we doing here?
I know, man. I was like, what are you? And then years later, we got the offside penalty, and it's like now you see why we probably were like we felt some way about the D Ford pick. Like, it's nothing against the player, but it's just that. It's just.
I'm gonna tell you that was the year that I really started. Like the year that whole draft cycle was the year that I decided to really start getting into draft how the draft works, what goes into it, so forth and so on, draft considerations, and that's when I started looking deeper into the draft. So, yeah, man, that was a puzzling decision, and that's why I also give a shout out to John Dorsey for actually making the Patrick Mahomes pick, because God knows he could go off the deep ends. So I know we're rambling a little.
I know.
Bit, so I
apologize. You're good, man. So I
apologize to the listeners, but let's move on to our five tight end. You got something else? I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention about like the other things he talked about. He also mentioned the other areas where the draft is strong, like corners and D linemen, saying there's good depth at cornerback and the offensive line, mainly the interior. The defensive line class has improved, especially with good mid-round depth. However, this draft is light on linebacker and running back positions, and the Chiefs have a proven track record. So, look out for guys like I really want Florida State corners, either Renardo Green or Jerry and Jones. I feel like that would be great. Or let's say Kool-Aid McKinstry, if you still got number 32, a guy who could play opposite Trent McDuffie. He has elite football IQ and great physical ability and was a first-team All-American, and the Chiefs have had interest in him. And lastly, he talked about the likelihood of trading up from number 32, and he always said, there are 16 to 18 players with first-round grades, including those 4 to 5 quarterbacks, which is a great opportunity for them to get a good player. So he's basically saying if those 4 or 5 quarterbacks are selected, and the players that people thought would go to certain teams are there, the Chiefs will definitely get there. And he used the example of like with Trent McDuffie's situation. So we will see how that all unfolds, man.
I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of things that could happen. Like there's so many things that could happen. And I do think the Raiders and the Broncos we'll talk about that at some other point. But the Broncos got one of your guys that we had talked about in an earlier episode.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, they got Zach Wilson, which I think that takes them out of the quarterback range, which is kind of nuts to me. Especially where they stand. But, that's another subject for another time. So, with that being said, in the interest of time, let's get going with this. Our next segment, 5 tight end considerations besides Brock Bowers.
All right. So we all know football is a constantly changing sport. The days of traditional power running backs are long gone, and now teams focus on quick, effective aerial attacks. Tight ends are also becoming more versatile and valuable, and their demand in the NFL is at an all-time high. The Chiefs should consider finding a replacement for veteran tight end Travis Kelce, who will be 35 during the 2024 season. It would be smart to draft a tight end to take some reps and keep Kelce's legs fresh throughout the season or for the next 2 years on his contract. And the NFL is experiencing an era of versatile, agile tight ends. Y'all know Brock Bowers is such a player who is catching the attention of pro scouts and talent evaluators. Bowers is similar to players like Kelce, George Kittle, and Mark Andrews, who have the perfect combination of size, athleticism to win on routes against smaller defensive backs when split outside. Additionally, Bowers can outrun bigger defenders like linebackers and safeties, owing to his impressive athleticism. The tight end class for 2024 outside of Bowers might not have as many star players. However, this upcoming class looks promising as many players exhibit strong traits to the NFL game. As you said, it usually takes a year or 2 to 3 years for tight ends to perform at their best. So this year's tight end class has a few players who could be had in later rounds, but these players have great blocking abilities, or they can move around well and stress linebackers who will try to cover them on downfield routes. So Chiefs fans have grown to love Kelce, Tony Gonzalez, and even Jason Dunn, who's one of the greatest blocking tight ends, not in Chiefs history, but in NFL history. So they may be in luck, as this year's draft may have many options. So it won't be surprising if the Chiefs pursued one of them. So with that being said, if the Chiefs don't get a chance to get Bowers, then here are the 5 other guys that the Chiefs Kingdom should keep an eye on. And we'll start with Kansas State tight end Ben Sinnott, who is a versatile tight end who could play anywhere on the field and excels as a blocker, particularly on split zone actions. He is a reliable hand catcher with a diverse route tree and is excellent with the yards after the catch ability. And the Chiefs are one of the few teams that use a fullback. Kyle Juszczyk gave the Chiefs defense trouble in both Super Bowls. Sinnott has the potential to be like Juszczyk, who played various positions, including as a pass catcher for the 49ers. Sinnott is a strong blocker, but needs to improve his ability to fight through contact in his routes. If a defender gets their hands on him, he could be slowed down or even thrown off his route path as a blocker. He can miss blocks against smaller and quicker defenders. Although he tested very well as an athlete, he needs to do a better job of transitioning it on the field. But all in all, Sinnott could be a valuable addition to the Chiefs tight end room. He is versatile, has a good understanding of the game. He could do a lot of blocking work and even be a fill-in as a fullback on certain plays. He could also provide a reliable target on offense. Adding Senate could be a move to replace Noah Gray in the future.
I like Ben Sinnott, and it is pronounced Senate for those that don't know, because I've been hearing a lot of people pronounce it Senate. It's
I've said
Senate.
not before. It's Senate.
Yeah, I've said it earlier as well, but it is Senate. And here's the thing about Senate. I think that him being able to do fullback duties is a great deal, great idea as well. And I think that that is a level that could take this Chiefs team to a new level, really. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because we don't have a fullback anymore. Like Andy Reid has kind of phased that out of his game plan.
Yeah.
But is it completely gone, or would you use a guy like Ben Sinnott to do a bait and switch type of thing, or bring something back that was effective that needed a fullback, and then you keep Kelsey and Noah Gray, and then your wide receivers out to make sure you're able to get this play considered like that. Andy Reid is one of the kings at the look over here, and I'm using something that I haven't used in 4 or 5 years with a new twist to it. So I like Ben Sinnott a lot. I've gotten to see him a lot because he's I don't want to say local, but yeah, local K-State guy. Everybody talks about him. I like Ben Sinnott.
Yeah. And our
Let's
next
go
guy.
next one.
Mhm. So for our next guy, we got Jatavion Sanders from the University of Texas. Sanders is a highly athletic player who challenges opposing defenses. He is versatile in his routes and has skills in short, intermediate, and deep passing. Sanders is also reliable with exceptional ball skills, and he had zero drops during his final year at Texas. He's a smooth runner with the ball in open space, showing flashes of strength and power when fighting off defenders. He also works well with offensive tackles to create running lanes for the ball carrier. If he needs to improve something, he needs to improve his blocking technique. He's inconsistent with his hand usage, his placement and leverage. His route running skills also would need some work while he relies too much on his athleticism instead of the crisp routes. But with the proper coaching like Tom Melvin, he could become a much improved player. Sanders would fit well with Andy Reid's experience due to Andy Reid's experience of using move tight ends like him. His abilities as a vertical field stretcher and the after catch ability make him a useful addition. And Sanders could eventually succeed Kelsey, but they would also play together in two tight end sets and complement each other very well.
I actually really like the fact that he hadn't had any drops in college. That's the part that stuck out to me more than anything. And I don't like him as a blocker. That's my only issue with him. I don't like him as a blocker. But again, these are things that you don't have to have in year one. You can improve on those later on. It's just out the rip like that. I don't like his blocking, but he can find the open spaces, and he has enough speed to get past linebackers. So I like that part.
Oh, absolutely. I
Let's
like
move
his
on.
athleticism.
Yeah, his athleticism is absolutely there, especially to be such a big dude, because he is actually pretty big.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So let's move on to number 3.
All right. And number 3 is Cade Stover from Ohio State. He is a rare pick with excellent blocking technique and athleticism. He transitioned to an offensive position from defense only 2 seasons ago and has proven to be a standout player. He is a physical guy, not afraid of contact or using his size to his advantage. He has a strong base and leverage to hold his blocks and is an excellent seam runner with strong hands and good understanding of defenses. He creates extra yards after the catch. His aggressive blocking can cause him to miss the block and get off balance. His running routes and getting in and out of breaks are slower than preferred due to his heavy feet. Additionally, the lack of experience of playing tight end shows at times, and he will also be one of the older prospects in the tight end class as he turns 24 before his rookie season. Stover would instantly become the Chiefs' best blocking tight end on the team, proven to be an immediate impact. His ability to stretch the field and move the chains would make him a reliable target in critical situations while also opening up underneath routes for other Chiefs weapons. And if the Chiefs make this move, this would be Dave Tobe's fingers all over it because he would be a good player on special teams as well.
Absolutely, he would definitely be a project for Dave Tobe for sure. But I think this one, I think Cade Stover would be one of those long-term projects. Like, don't expect him to blow in year one.
Right.
You're looking at probably 300 receiving yards, more of a blocking tight end, especially used during these new kickoff rules. So I like Cade Stover, and I think he will serve as, he will have a place in this offense and special teams. But I don't think the ceiling could be higher for him, but not immediately. It'll take a little bit more development. It'll take a little bit longer than development than the two guys that we mentioned prior to him. Yeah. So let's go to the next one.
All right, and this next one, I've been a fan of this guy since I watched the Colorado versus Colorado State game last season. And when I saw this guy, I thought this was one of those guys that the Chiefs should put him on this list, and that's none other than Colorado State's Dallin Holker. Holker is a fast, explosive athlete with good short area quickness. He can shake off defenders in coverage and win vertically with his speed and acceleration. He might not be the fastest, but he has enough speed to win. He is versatile and can play as a big slot, often creating mismatches. He also has excellent body control and ball tracking ability, making difficult catches look easy. And when I tell you, when I saw him go up against Deion Sanders' team and he was dominating, I thought I was watching a Rob Gronkowski clone. I mean, dude was giving them problems all night. However, he struggles as a blocker. He lacks the play strength. His point of attack blocking is considered weak, and he could get bothered by physicality as a receiver. He needs to improve his strength, get in the weight room, which could be achieved through, the NFL weight room and training program. Let's say if he gets with one of our guys, he will be 24 years old as well on draft night. He has desirable athletic traits for the Chiefs tight end position. He's quick, fast, agile, with good ball catching ability. However, his play strength and blocking skills probably would limit him from getting any early playing time. If the Chiefs are willing to wait for his play strength to develop, he would definitely be worth one of those late picks, like in the 5th round.
I like Dallin Holker, but I just know that the versatility that they would like their tight ends to possess, he doesn't have it right now. There's things that he needs to work on, and it's not like he's a lot like Cade. He's a lot like Cade. There's some raw talent there, and they could definitely work on that. But the question is, how long are you willing to wait? That's the biggest question. Like, how long are you willing to wait for that production? Because he can give you offensive production, but when you're talking about getting in there to actually block, I don't know if that's going to be the guy that you want. So, but in year one, you won't need him because you still have Noah Gray, and this could be one of those for the future moves, if you understand what I'm saying. But he did give Colorado fits. He gave the Buffs fits, bro. The mortal fits. And when you had mentioned him before in a couple of your episodes, and I'm like, bro, this dude told him up. And that's how I knew the name. That's how I knew the name from that game. So let's go to our last one.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to our last guy.
And last but not least, he's another favorite of mine, and it's none other than Penn State's Theo Johnson. He is highly athletic, versatile tight end prospect with great potential. He excels as a blocker. He uses his size and strength to his advantage. He is a reliable receiver with safe hands and an excellent ability to pick up yards after the catch. Johnson wasn't targeted all that often throughout his career at Penn State, but when he was, He saw a hefty 139.9 passer rating on his targets, which is the second best among the 2024 tight end class. Brock Bowers is only better with a 148.9. He needs to work on his route running skills and become more versatile in his route tree. He has the size and athletic ability, but lacks production and nuance in his routes. With improvement, he could be a threat at all levels of the field. Johnson would be a great fit for the Chiefs. He has good blocking skills and the potential to develop as a receiver, and the Chiefs may have to pick him earlier than they like, but he makes sense for now and the future.
For me, this was a draft crush. For me, Theo Johnson is a draft crush. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, I like all 5 of these guys, but Theo Johnson is more of a draft crush for me personally. I like the way he can stretch the field. I think that they're gonna have to work with his mechanics a lot. Because I think sometimes he wants to go downfield. I think he's sometimes too focused on going downfield that he loses the mechanics of it. And I know that's something Andy Reid really kind of harps on is the mechanics. That way you can be like Kelsey and try to trick the defenses into doing what you want them to do to get open, as opposed to using your strength and your abilities to just do that automatically. But again, that's what a lot of college tight ends try to do. But that's if I'm picking one out of these guys, it's gonna be Theo Johnson. Like, just to be fair. And I also think he might drop a few picks down from his original spot. I don't know why I think that, but I think that's a possibility. And I like Theo Johnson. I have. So in an effort to move forward, these are your 5 tight end considerations aside from Brock Bowers. That's Ben Sinnott, Jatavian Sanders, Cade Stover, Dallin Holker, and Theo Johnson. So there are your 5 guys. And with that being said, that leads us to our last part of the show, and that is PMAC's final mock draft.
Let's do it, man. Here we go. This is the final mock draft of the NFL draft season. And I want to say thank you guys for being with us with these mocks and everything. With these mocks, I try to make them as accurate. And there's sometimes you want to have a little fun, let the fan in you kick in and, add players that you would like for the team to add. But we finally made it. It feels like it's been years, but we are now in the final stretch. Actually, this is the final stretch. It's the day before the NFL draft. And to help everyone get prepared, I'm going to do my best here with this one, providing accurate predictions. While I can't guarantee 100% accuracy, I'll certainly give it my best shot. I mean, I'm basing these decisions on what I believe ultimately will occur rather than what I would personally would choose, So the Chiefs have 3 picks in the top 100, which presents an excellent opportunity to select talented players with the starting potential from this year's draft class. So let's begin this final mock draft with their first pick. And I have the Chiefs selecting Kingsley Suamataia, the offensive tackle from BYU. That's right. Who is 6'6", weighs 325 pounds, despite being labeled as a developmental offensive tackle with 34 1/4 arms. He possesses excellent size and length, making him a suitable fit for a starting left tackle position in the NFL. He has NFL-level explosiveness, a quick first step, better than Donovan Smith, long arms that he uses effectively in pass protection. He is also a strong run blocker with great athleticism and finish skills. Suamataia is a young player with potential. He needs to work on his technique, footwork, targeting, and over-aggressiveness in both the pass and run game. He has room for improvement and he needs to mature on the field, but he has that potential to be a good starting left tackle. And like I said, he's a left tackle, but he has the skills to also play on the right side if needed, with Wanya Morris slated to play left tackle as of now, it's a safe bet that Kingsley will have every opportunity to win the starting blindside job in rookie camp.
With this one, I actually like it because you already got Wanye. So this guy can play left and right tackle. I have a little hesitation because I think if I'm not mistaken, he has switched to left tackle over the last 2 years, I want to say.
2 years, yeah.
He has switched to left, but he can still play guard. He can still play right tackle. He can still play left tackle. And that gives you the versatility that Andy Reid is looking for. Now, I wouldn't put him at guard ever, but he has the versatility to do so. But yeah, I like
cousins with Penei Sewell and Noah Sewell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how I feel about Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I know.
You know how I feel about him. And so, but I do like Sewell Matia. I like him a lot. He shows aggressiveness, and he follows through with the play. Like, he doesn't give up on the play, which I do think
I can do it every time, and I love that. I love that about him. And I'm like, yeah, I think just like what they did with Wanye. I think Wanye is naturally a right tackle, but he showed you he has the ability to play left. And I thought, okay, he could lock it up, but then after those last few games, it kind of exposed that he still needs some work, but not bad. But this would be a great move, though.
They just exposed him a little bit. They saw his weaknesses, like teams studied his weaknesses and exploited them. There's no shot on him. It was his rookie season. He'll get better. But if you have a chance to upgrade that position, you should do it. Like, protect the king. And so I love his aggressiveness. So who is number 64?
Oh, no. This is where I'm about to throw a curveball at Chiefs Kingdom because they're gonna be like, Philip, I can't believe you did this. And yes, I made this move because it's not a coincidence that the team would bring one of the top running backs on a visit in Jonathan Brooks from Texas. Because I said to myself, if y'all looking at the number one running back from this class, then you definitely got to look at one of the top three. And one of those top three, I select with number 64. The Chiefs stunned the league by bolstering their run game with a complimentary player for Pacheco. Michigan's Blake Corum. That's right. I'm going with a guy who I think is the best running back in this draft class, Blake Corum, who has a low center of gravity, runs with power, has an elite jump cut. He has excellent vision and utilizes gap schemes to find creases in the blocking, kind of like what Le'Veon Bell did with his patience and pick up hitting yardage. Corum also tempos and angles his runs well to maximize his available space. He's got the potential to be a third down back who could be used in various situations. If he gets the chance to take McKinnon's third down role, or let's say Pacheco takes that role while you have Corum focus on the gap runs, then I really think Corum has the potential to be a contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Having a great running back like Pacheco on your team is fantastic, but having two is even better. Defenses across the league will have a tough time trying to stop him and Pacheco behind that Chiefs offensive line if, let's say, both of them get at least 10 touches each per game. So I'm going to just say, if that happens, good luck to you defenses out there. And this, I was going to mention this too as other options, right? Before you say what you say, other options at 64. Let's say the team is in need at wide receiver and they don't go with Corum. There are those few options like Tez Walker, who can make the possession catches and provide Mahomes with a necessary downfield and red zone threat. There's also Western Kentucky's Malachi Corley, who is to me a cross between A.J. Brown and Jarvis Landry. Or last but not least, one of my favorite receivers in this class, Roman Wilson, who has that Deshaun Jackson, who can make a Deshaun Jackson-esque impact in Andy Reid's offense. But I'm going with Corum here. So what you
think? You love Corum, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You love Corum. I think Corum is like your top three. He's definitely a top three in your draft this year. I think it's too early to get him. I've been burned. I'm sorry.
He had to give me a B+ for the pick, and it was like I thought they was gonna give me a lower grade, but I was like, a B+ for okay. So You guys see what I'm talking about. So
I'm not hating on it. Don't get me wrong, but this is earlier than I would pick a running back. Sorry, it just is. But with that being said, Blake Corum is really good. The jump cuts stand out to me. His gaps, the way he plays the gaps, the running gaps, it's a stark difference from the way Pacheco and Clyde played their gaps. Clyde likes to wait with he likes hesitation. He loves hesitation, and sometimes those windows close too quickly for him to get through because he's not super fast. Pacheco uses power. Blake uses jump cuts. Like that offers us three different running backs doing three different things, which could really throw off a defense. So I do enjoy that part for sure. There's not much to break down about Blake Corum's game. He can catch the ball. He can go downfield if you want him to. I like Blake Corum, but I definitely I like it better at pick number 2 in the second round more than I like it at number 1, at number 32. You know what I mean?
yeah. And like we wasted 32 on Clyde before, and that's why I thought like it's better than that. I'm just saying, man. I'm a
y'all leave Clyde alone. Leave Clyde alone.
I don't hate Clyde, man. It's just I'm not saying nothing.
People do. A lot of people do. Wasted 32. But anyway, we keep it moving, man. Let's keep moving.
All right.
Number 3.
And with the 95th overall pick, this was my pick from 64 last week. This week, he could be available around 95. And this is Jalen McMillan, wide receiver from Washington. McMillan's an excellent route runner who understands how to create separation and attack the middle of the field. He has the speed to score from anywhere and can catch the ball with ease. McMillan's nuance and understanding of the game make him a valuable asset. He needs to improve his agility and erase angles in the open field. Also, he played alongside 2 other talented receivers in college, alongside Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk. So he has to prove himself as an individual. He lacks functional strength and can get pushed around by physical slot and corners and safeties. He is a separator, not a contested catch player, but he does have the ability to create separation on his own, which is good. So McMillan is a versatile player who can play in the slot or on the outside in Andy Reid's scheme. He has excellent route running skills and speed to beat teams over the top. So the other options, if the Chiefs decide to not go a receiver, let's say we go a receiver at 64 instead of Corum, and then let's say at 95, this is where the Chiefs could prefer interior offensive line help or interior defensive line help. This is where they look for the potential replacements of, Joe Thuney or Trey Smith, guys like UConn's Christian Haynes, who is the best right guard in the draft, or considering drafting Kansas State's Cooper Beebe, who is from KCK and who I think is the best left guard in this draft, who can also play both positions, left and right guard, and who has played left tackle. Defensively, look at T'Vondre Sweat or the versatile freak Mason Smith from LSU at 95 if the Chiefs want to go in a different direction. But I got McMillan here.
McMillan. The best thing I could say about him is, as long as he won't be the number 1 coming in. He won't be a number 1 receiver, and he won't even challenge that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's why I'm so cool with him being picked this late. You know what I believe that he has the upside, if he develops correctly, to be a number 2. But I think the number 2 might be his ceiling. And I think I don't want to say hid. I think he ate off of the scraps of Rome Odunze and
Jalen Polk.
I think he ate off of those scraps because they were so busy giving those 2 guys so much attention on the defense that he was able to exploit the one-on-ones, the down the fields, so forth and so on. I don't dislike Jalen McMillan. I just think that he just he makes the best of what he has. I mean,
He does.
that's what I
Makes
think.
him look good, too.
He makes the best of what he has, and on this team,
He
there's a
did better
spot.
than Pope in the national championship game against Michigan. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No, that's precisely what I was going to say. But the thing about it is that there's room to grow. Will he do it? That's the question. Because you can't hide behind the two top guys forever.
exactly.
And so
Well, he had a 1,000-yard season the year prior, but I think this year he probably got hurt and
yeah, I'm sure
he's
that's
kind of working
true.
back, so that's part of it.
But yeah, only the upside is the question I have. Will the development be there for him? Does he have the want to develop and be deep more than what he actually is right now? But other than that, it's a great pick, especially picking up a wide receiver that we need and picking him up in the third round. Absolutely. Let's go on to our number 4 pick.
All right, and this is a pick that I really like right here, and it's none other than Renardo Green, cornerback from Florida State. I mean, either you get him or you get his teammate Jarrian Jones, who I've been hearing lately could be going all the way into the 6th round. The Chiefs would be in a great position to get either one of these guys, but since trading away Snead, the Chiefs have been searching for a top-notch corner, but I have them picking Green, and I believe Green will prove to be an exceptional player at the next level. Green is the best man coverage corner in this draft class. He has excellent stop and start explosive traits and is highly competitive at the top of his route. If you put on this tape, he's going against top of these best receivers in this draft class. Like he's even going to be against Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. And he's even practiced against Keon Coleman every day in practice. And with an impressive understanding of leverage and route combinations, Green is sticky. He doesn't have to recover often. He is a reliable run defender, missing fewer than 20 tackles over 5-year career at Florida State. He might struggle due to his size and physicality, and his face guarding could cause penalties. Sound familiar? Rashad Breeland. His zone coverage skills are not strong, and he excels more in man coverage, which is why he's considered the best in this draft class. Although he has very good ball production, and we saw that in his final year. He almost had none of that before, only just one interception over 1,000 career college snaps. But on the boundary opposite, Trent McDuffie, Green could fit well and be protected over the top by the Chiefs scheme, and this would allow him to play aggressively in the press and also underneath in the zone. He possesses the desired mentality to play outside for Steve Spagnuolo and defensive back coach David Merritt.
To be honest, when I pick up a cornerback, I would rather than pick up somebody who wants to take the ball away more. Like, I do think that that's a part of the Chiefs defense that needs to be worked on is takeaways. But I do like Renardo Green. Them Florida State boys, them Florida State cornerbacks, I like them. Between him and Jarrian Jones, nah, if you picked either of those two, I'd be okay with it because what I see out of those two, like you said, they went up against top talent, so they know what they're looking for. And it also gives us the opportunity to upgrade them quicker and be able to keep your I'm losing names, your swing guys, your Joshua
Williams and Jalen Watson.
Yes, they're able to keep them where I feel that they're strong at right now. And I know you want them to grow their game, but if you go get a guy like Renardo Green or Jarrian Jones, you won't necessarily have to rely on that, and you can kind of develop them a little bit more, and then just have them just in case, breaking case of injury or whatever. Yeah, man, I like those. I like these Florida State cornerbacks. I really do. Yeah. And I love the fact that he can get aggressive and be him and Jarrian Jones can be more of the playing downfield and playing in the box and blitzing when they're ready to. You know what I mean? So I like that about them. So,
oh yeah. So with number 159, this is the same selection that I made this player with my last mock draft from last episode, and I'm still sticking with Tyler Davis, defensive tackle from Clemson. This move will help form a very good rotation among the interior, but also you got to consider Derek Nottie, Pennell, and Tershawn Wharton are all each on 1 year each on their contract. So Davis demonstrated his versatility by playing multiple positions on the defensive line during his time at Clemson, and Spags highly values this adaptability as he employs that NASCAR defense, in which is his speed package that feature the four of the faster defensive linemen capable of putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Davis is a compact, skilled run defender with good leverage. He provides a solid anchor in the middle and rarely misses a tackle. He has a quick first step and could put pressure on the blockers and drive them backward with his countless effort, and also has the potential as a pass rusher. He's limited by his height, his weight, and yes, the other thing is his shorter arms. He has like 31, 32-inch arms. He struggles with speed and quickness, making it difficult for him, despite having the 5.02 40-yard dash and the strength. It still makes it difficult for him to be an effective pass rusher or beat offensive linemen quickly, but the pass rushing tools are there. And Davis, in my opinion, would fit well on the Chiefs defensive line. He would provide a young and talented group along with Jones, Karlaftis, Dana, and we all know this Nottie's last year, but also last year's first round pick, Anyudike Uzama. They're also available to rotate in. This would be a great group right here if you had Davis.
When I look at Davis, I see a guy that's going to need to compensate for the things that he doesn't have. Like you said, the shorter arms. In college, he compensates for that by giving a relentless effort. Like he doesn't give up on the play very easily, but that in itself can cause him to over pursue, which is not a huge issue, especially when you're talking about running with a guy like our guy that we drafted last year.
FAU?
I mean, the year before that, I'm sorry. Karlaftis. When you got a guy like Karlaftis who's relentlessly pursuing, and that quarterback might hold the ball too long, a guy like Davis would absolutely take advantage of that. He would absolutely take advantage of that. The question is sometimes trying to get through the speed option is not there, but that's why you got guys like FAU. So I don't dislike the pick, and I definitely think that he will be a project or a rotational piece moving forward.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Right. So
and
now we go on
one more pick.
Actually, two more picks after that. 173 and then also 221.
I don't know why I don't have 221 on here, but go ahead.
But it's good. I'll talk about that though.
No,
so anyway, so at 173, the Chiefs, I finally got them getting a tight end, but it's not none of the five guys, but it could be one of the five guys. But the guy that I talked about him on the show before, and it's none other than Illinois tight end Tip Ryman. He could ball despite his belief that birds aren't real. The junior who stands at 6. Yeah, for real, man. I've heard about that. Yeah, I was like, okay, man. I've heard somebody else in my family say they don't believe birds are real too in the sky. I know, right? So the junior from Illinois, he stands at 6'5", 271 pounds. He played 28 games for the Illini. His best performance was in 2023 when he recorded 19 catches, 203 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But despite those low stats, he possesses an NFL-ready physique. Ryman has better physical attributes than future tight end, future Pro Football Hall of Fame tight end Rob Gronkowski. He is heavier than Gronk by 7 pounds, faster than Gronk by 4 seconds in the 40, stronger than Gronk, where he puts up 5 more reps on 225 than Gronk, where Gronk only had 23 reps, but this guy put up 28 reps. However, they both have the same jumping ability, where both have the same 33 and a half vertical jump. So Ryman is a strong and sturdy tight end with excellent blocking skills. He excels as a run blocker, creating rushing lanes for the ball carrier. He's also got reliable hands with excellent movement ability and create yards after the catch. However, as I mentioned about those stats from last year, he's less than a 500 yard receiving type of player, and he has potential based on the size and the athletic traits. But his athleticism could have been showcased better on tape. And as a blocker in space, he could be slow to get to his responsibility, and he is mainly an underneath target and can struggle with route running at times. But Ryman has the traits to become an NFL contributor. His physicality alone will get him on the field, but he needs to work on transitioning his athleticism into on-field production. He has a history of doing well and working together and getting better. Now he's done a great job where he wants to get better, and the Chiefs can help him develop a broader route tree to become a more significant contributor later on.
His ceiling seems a little bit lower than the guys that you mentioned already, and that's my only issue with him. Like I know there are things he needs to work on, but I feel like I don't want to lump Noah Gray into this, but I think there's only so much room to improve that Tip Ryman has. He has a clear ceiling, and it would take a lot for the Chiefs to pull him, to extend that ceiling. And I don't mind it. And the reason I don't mind it is because everybody's not gonna be a Kelsey. Everybody's not gonna be a Tony Gonzalez. We've had two of the best tight ends to ever play the game. So that makes it tough for guys like this to come in and be that guy. But
George Kittle was found in the 5th round before.
Right. And so I don't mind Tip Ryman. I just wonder what his ceiling would end up being. And I don't know if the Chiefs would be able to pull something out of him that, that would help his ceiling be higher than what it currently is. That's all. But I do like Tip Ryman. I think if they draft him, they will get a good that's value pick right there. That's the word I'm gonna use, a value pick.
And before I get to the next, the final pick, which I think would be a valuable move, I agree with you. And there's other things you got to take into consideration. Let's say we don't want to go with tight end here, or let's say we still go with tight end, then Dallin Holker could be the pick here as well. Or let's say we want to go after a running back. We could look in this range, guys like Keami Vidal from Troy, or Dylan Johnson from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Would be at the range. Or if you want to go later, let's say if he's still there at 221, Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr.
Right. So yeah, I'm with it.
And I know you don't have this person on here, but for my final pick, the final pick of my mock draft of this draft season before the draft tomorrow, I got Edifon Ilofosho, the linebacker from Washington. That is the guy that I got there. But despite signing Drew Tranquill to a 3-year extension, the team still needs help at linebacker next to him and Nick Bolton, who is in the final year of his rookie deal. And Edifon Ilofosho could be a potential option. Started all 15 games for the Huskies' run to the national championship game, served as a team captain for the team, 2020 first team all Pac-12, 2023 first team all Pac-12, and 2023 Associated Press third team All-American. I know Spags likes his off-the-ball linebackers to be versatile enough to play on early downs and rush the passer on the edge and not be a liability in coverage. Ilofosho is a versatile linebacker with a good frame and long arms. He excels as a blitzer and shows promising hand technique to disengage from blocks. He is also comfortable with playing in coverage and is a willing tackler in the run game. I think he's one of the best coverage linebackers in this draft class, even to find him at that value in the 7th round. He does struggle with change of direction and lacks physicality, sometimes can be over-aggressive, and he needs to work on his pad level and awareness on run plays. But if the Chiefs draft Ilofosho, Bolton and Tranquill could help him develop. Ilofosho is a high-character football player with impressive athleticism. He's been teammates with McDuffie for the 3 seasons at Washington from 2019 to 2021 before McDuffie got drafted by the Chiefs, and the Chiefs could value him as a special teams contributor. and also providing something different to their backup linebackers. And I think Elo Fosho is ideal for Spags' weak side linebacker position, and he could be the steal of the draft at the 7th round.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know who this man is. I know. I mean, I wish I had looked him up before now. Because I like the idea of drafting a linebacker with a 7th round pick. So it gives time for us to, Bolton has another year. Who has another year? Bolton, we got Drew Tranquil for another 3 years. We got
Chanel,
who will be a full-time starter coming this season.
Yeah.
So thinking
back
about
Jack too, which I'm happy about.
That's true, Jack Cochran. So bringing in another guy is crucial at this point, and sounds like he is high character. And he has a teammate that's already on the team, so that's always a good thing as well. I messed up and I didn't put any replays of him, but I wish I had looked him up a little bit more. Now hearing your assessment of him, I wish I had looked him up a little bit more, and I guarantee I will do that. But yeah, man. I like the position for sure. I definitely like the position because we definitely need to keep our rotation of linebackers strong.
And they are the strength of defense too, man. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So the way I look at it, you got 1, 2, 3 defensive players being picked in this draft, and they're all at each level. That's the part I love about this. They're all at each level. They're the line of scrimmage, their linebacker, and then there's of course the cornerback. And the only thing I would do differently is I would have a safety.
Yeah, and this is where I mentioned that too. Like I mentioned that last week. And last week I chose his teammate Dominique Hampton, who could be like that Cam Chancellor, Kyle Hamilton, or Darwin James version of safety for us. And that's another option if we don't want to go linebacker. There's also Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest, who some people think can drop, and that'd be shocking if the Chiefs were able to get him. Or there's a good list of those players too. There's also Tyler Owens from Texas Tech. If you want to go safety, especially there. I mean, there's also the 5th round. We want to look for those positions as well. Shiloh Sanders, the safety from Colorado, one of Deion's sons, was supposed to be in this draft class.
He's not in this draft class. I thought.
I thought he was in. Yeah.
I could have swore I thought he was in next year's draft class. Because I think I heard something about Deion saying where he's gonna go. He only has a certain number of places between him, them two, and Travis Hunter. He only wants them to go certain places. Why he wants them to go to he had a specific team that he wanted them to go to. I'm like, why you want them to go there? I don't know. But yeah, that, like I said, that's the only thing that's missing off of this is I would pick a safety. But if you got a Jerry Jones or Renardo Green, that could be a hybrid role for them. That could be a hybrid role for them, especially early on. Yeah, I think that you kind of dealt with it enough because both of those guys can they're long enough to they have the recovery if they want to. But I know Renardo Green doesn't rely on his recovery skills. So I think that's great. With that being said, that ends the final mock draft for the War Room with PMAC. It's been the draft is this Thursday, which is tomorrow, and we'll see how many of these names that we've already discussed will be on the Chiefs roster come the end of this weekend. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I know this year it's in Detroit and there's not as much buzz in Kansas City about about the draft. But either way, we look forward to seeing who the Chiefs decide they want to pick and how they will be moving forward. Please stay tuned with us. We still continue to bring content. We will recap the draft after it happens, and we'll talk about the guys that they actually did pick and what we think about them. And then we'll probably take a break after that. But it's been a great ride for the first part of the year, man. We've learned a lot about different players, what the Chiefs look for, and what could happen in the future. With that being said, if there anything to close us out?
Man, I just want to say I appreciate you guys for joining us again. You know what time in the place, we'll be back. Just want to say, guys, go out there and enjoy this draft. We do this for fun, but also we do this because we care about our organization, and also we like to engage with NFL teams outside of Chiefs Kingdom. We all do it all in fun because I know there are a lot of people just want to say negative stuff, but don't be with all the negative, man. Just go out there, have fun, enjoy this night, and hit the subscribe button if you guys are watching this on.
I lost you for a second, so hit the subscribe button, like this, and we'll have clips of it at certain spots. But I think there we go. I think you're back.
Sorry about that.
Yep. You're good.
Can you still hear me, bro?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, well, if you guys can't hear me still, I just want to say thank you. Enjoy the show. Deuces.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate you listening, and we are
I don't know what the heck's
out
going on here.
Deuces.
My thing.